Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about something that has been on my mind for several weeks, possibly even months, and I really wanted to make a video about this, but I just haven't had the time, but I just thought that now is a good time. What started this whole thing was I saw something on my Time Hop, which, if you don't know what Time Hop is, it's an app that pulls in all of your posts from like Twitter and Facebook, and it goes every day and it takes you back to what you were posting on that day, however many years you were posting. So this particular post was from 5 years ago when I was 18 years old, and it said something like, I'm at the library and I saw a girl with Twilight. I wanted to smack it out of her hands and hand her a copy of Harry Potter. And I read this post now as a 22-year-old, and I was just like, why did I say that? Like, what made me want to do that? Like, it just seemed really like weird to me that I felt that way. And I've probably felt that way since then, but not in such violent terms. I mean, I haven't ever actually smacked a book out of someone's hands, of course, but I just thought that was really interesting, and it got me thinking about this skyscraper. Stay with me. This skyscraper that was in this textbook from one of my classes in college. I actually found this exact diagram image. I'll try to link it to you in the description, but it's this skyscraper and it's representing like a spectrum of popular culture, and it's got at the bottom what is perceived as low culture, things like Jersey Shore and Twilight and Lady Gaga, things that are very, very like pop culture things at the bottom, and at the top of the skyscraper is things that are considered high culture, things like the ballet and the New York Times and Hamlet and other things like that. So what I think is interesting is that this sort of dichotomy is basically completely arbitrary. Who decides this? Who decides that Hamlet is valuable and Twilight is not? And I know that there are issues with the content of Twilight, and there's issues with the content of a lot of these sort of lower cultural things, but a lot of it is just like completely arbitrary. And another interesting thing is that Shakespeare, while Shakespeare was alive, was probably perceived as sort of a low culture thing because it was accessible to all levels of society. It wasn't just for like kings and queens and really rich people. It was for everybody. Like anyone could go see a Shakespeare play performed. So I think it was sort of like the vulgar low culture. And now people who perform and watch and read Shakespeare are perceived as higher or educated or something. And I just think that's totally interesting too, because something that is initially perceived as low culture just through like the passage of time somehow becomes valuable and like classic. Another thing in this textbook was sort of another option, and it was this map, and the map was sort of a representation of culture as an intersection of a lot of different things like personal taste and experiences and just a lot of different things sort of intersecting to form more of like a cultural map where things aren't really judged based on whether they're valuable or not valuable or high or low, but more on like a really dense and complicated intersection of different things that make something in culture important to us personally. And I think that's really interesting too, and I think that's probably a more reasonable and a more fair way of looking at different things, is that you really can't quantify the value of a certain book, a certain movie, a certain play, because while it may be like worthless and pointless and low to one person, it could have a lot of really deep and personal meaning to another person. What I think is really cool is that we do have such a diversity and such a variety of content that is available to us, that we can find things that speak to us personally, and it doesn't really matter what other people think of them if they matter to us. And I just think that that is so awesome. What I want to know from you is, do you think that there's any value in sort of labeling things as high and low or good and bad? Is there a use for that sort of stark characterization of things, or is it always more valuable to think of things as more of like a map or just like an even playing field where a lot of different things are coming together to bring meaning. And I want to know if you have felt that impulse that I felt when I was 18 years old of smacking something out of someone's hand to hand them something that you think has more value. Because I know that while I think I've grown up a little bit since posting that post, I still do sometimes see someone with something or watching something and I'm like, that's not worth your time, let me help you out. But really, who am I to say that something is not worth someone's time? Because I think you never know what someone's personal experiences are, what they need and what they value could be completely different from you. And I just think that that's really awesome. And I would encourage you to think about that as well. Please chat with me in the comments about this, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.